Here, let's go to Laura Ingraham. She's obviously cutting to the quick with her Tucker style, Russell Brand style title. We're being lied to. Obviously, it's a CIA plot to give away, Mr. Bond, give away our secrets. Because we're all fighting against the same thing, freedom. Some of us do it overtly, some of us do it covertly, but we're all on the same team, Mr. Bond. We're all doing... I'm sorry, 1 second, I have to pee.
Amateur
okay, hold on.
hour. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Amateur hour. This is the focus of the angle. Okay, great. Well, isn't it every night? By the way, when is she going to get a live drummer?
Now, in a small community, North Dayton, Massachusetts, the feds showed up in full gear.
Because the person they were arresting is an active duty military soldier who has access to weapons on the property. In the investigation, they showed him firing the gun saying racist and anti-Semitic things. This is for the safety of the people arresting him, not the threat that he directly poses at any given second. You moron. Again, I guess the whole back the blue thing when they're wearing green, fuck them.
They even brought an armored vehicle.
Right, because they are arresting a member of the military.
All to take into custody a lone, scrawny, 21-year-old Air Force National Guardsman?
I don't know. Why did they even send police for the trans shooter? Like a trans person with a gun? Are they? Do you see how tall they were? They're not even that big. I mean, look at them. They're like 109 pounds, fully clothed, soaking wet. They were totally scrawny. You do realize it doesn't fucking matter how much you weigh if you have a machine gun. The dude he's a military member. He's got access to machine guns. Not AR-15 so he can fucking cosplay. The real thing, dum-dum.
Today, the Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into
where he tried to share a bunch of classified documents.
Alleged unauthorized...
What a silly name for a man who's caught sharing classified intel. Teixeira classified
removal,
intel.
Retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira is an employee of the United States Air Force National Guard.
Right. Where I'm fairly certain they have machine guns.
We will share more information
on Teixeira when we feel like sharing.
At the appropriate time.
Actually, the appropriate time is now. So,
is it? Because they do want to try him, stupid, and they don't want him to get off just because they prejudiced the entire public against him. And I mean, this is the Trump plan. Trump wants to air this. He wants to take it into have the trial in the court of public opinion so that he can't get a fair trial because everybody knows the details of the case. And then his lawyers can come in and go, my client can't get a fair trial because everybody knows about this. And then he never gets, that is the Trump methodology. That's when people talk about he wants to talk about this in the press or hash it out and make it a political debate or whatever. No, he is trying to poison the jury pool. That's all Trump tries to do with all of these cases all the fucking time. That's what she's doing right here. No, it is smart of Merrick Garland to go, this is the case, not go any further. We have reason to believe, and this is what led us to believe this, but he will get a trial like everybody else.
The angle will share more information and provide some much needed context.
All right, context. Here we go. That's what I think is contextism is the problem. It's taking over.
First, let's understand what the Biden administration is trying to do here.
Oh, by arresting the guy who did make an example of him, get to the bottom of it, actually discover this. No, that can't be it. They're using him to leak it. No, that's too Jimmy Dore right out of the gate.
It's somehow trying to turn one of the worst intelligence breaches of the past 2 decades into a political win.
Okay, so by catching and prosecuting the person who leaked documents, they're manufacturing responsibility. Yeah. They're trying to look all capable by getting the guy. What the fuck?
For themselves.
Yeah, because normally they would just ignore him. Hal, Poop Grabber says, Hal, have you read anything about the Trump documents that he took concerning Milley? Yeah, we talked about that, I want to say, a couple of months ago. But the idea that he was trying to get dirt on people that he wanted to fire or whatever, none of it worked out. And the stuff that he has on them will just get them killed, but it's not anything he could air their dirty laundry. There isn't really anything about Milley that I'm aware of. And believe me, if he had it, we would know about it by now. But he tried to do this with a bunch of people. He tried to get the same report talked about him getting info on Macron, if you'll recall.
Now let's debunk this and explain it.
All right, let's debunk what you just said and explain what they're trying to do, or debunk what they're trying to do and explain what you just said. You'll have to excuse me. I'm smelling almonds.
Well, today they hope to win competency points by
catching the guy really quickly.
The fact that they moved so quickly to arrest the leaker. But big deal. The documents had been online for months on
They just hadn't spread outside of Discord.
a platform called Discord.
Right. Where they sat there going nowhere. Where effectively nobody on that Discord, was all fucking gamers, were whispering secrets to anybody going, I saw a document that says this, that it resulted in any fucking thing. Until they reached the actual world, it didn't matter.
And plus, it looks like the New York Times somehow managed to make contact with the alleged leaker before our own government.
Yes, they did. They made contact. They didn't know about him before the government. They just went there and the government went, fuck, all right, guys, roll. The New York Times has found him. Go get him. Shit. They were trying to catch the other people that he's involved with, or see if he's involved with other people, because he doesn't have access to that kind of stuff anymore, and they've already locked it down internally. Or they were going to feed him fake intel and follow that chain, but no.
The first tranche were photographed among hunting equipment. These ones were photographed in a different location on a granite countertop. On
a granite countertop. Obviously, the Irish know more about this than the Americans do.
In the gaming profiles, we were able to find connections with other more popular social media websites, which of course had family photographs online, including that countertop, that granite countertop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even the Democrat rank.
Yeah, we know how they got there. That doesn't mean that the government didn't know that the guy was there. It just means that they were approaching it differently, especially considering this motherfucker talked about Ruby Ridge all the time.
Ranking member of the House Intel Committee, it wasn't buying it.
The New York Times beat the FBI.
No, they didn't.
21-year-old.
They jumped the gun. They went and interviewed the guy. They were going to try to interview the guy.
Kid, Air National Guardsman, who was trying to impress his friends. Clearly.
He was trying to impress. Yeah, he's an innocent kid. He's just trying to be liked. Aren't we all trying to be liked? By saying, here, have some classified documents.
Awful lot of work, a lot of congressional oversight work we need to do to fix these systems that are constantly allowing, or at least regularly allowing, our secrets to get out into the wild.
Sorry, but enough about Mar-a-Lago.
How was he able to print them out? How was he able to remove them?
Well, you're assuming a lot of things. You're assuming he printed them out and they weren't other people's printouts that they duplicated and that he folded over and took out with him.
From a secure facility.
The facts here are so bad for the Biden.
Terrible. Especially the whole catching him
and
part.
Intel community that even CNN's Jake Tapper
I love how it's the Biden Intel community.
Can't hide his disgust.
This classified information was reportedly on Discord for months. How many tens of billions of dollars the U.S. intelligence community gets each year from the American taxpayer, but it really seems like there was a lot of people dropped the ball here. It's not a proud period for the intelligence community.
Sure.
Let's say that.
Well,
no, it never is when a leak happens. And
well, that's right, and it's an understatement. Just think of
yeah, I mean, Jake could have gone much further.
the debacles of the
the debacles. So many debacles.
past few months. Like that Chinese balloon that floated
Oh, yes, the balloon.
over
yes.
sensitive sites. Which
sensitive sites like Wyoming.
This administration assured us all was no big deal.
The president doesn't regret the way that we handled the first balloon.
It's not a major breach.
And it was
You know what they need to do? They need to cut these quotes smaller so that it looks like nobody ever gives a shit. I think that would can somebody call the editorial newsroom? I don't know. I guess they're news cutters, the people that put their packages together, and go, you know what? There's far too much context. I think you should take out all the breaths and everything as well.
It's just 10 days ago that we learned that what the Angle had suspected all along. That
the Angle had suspected this cult group. You mean you?
Intelligence that China collected was mostly from electronic signals, which can be picked up from weapon systems or include communications from base personnel.
Right. And because they knew where it was at all time, they told them to stand down and stop doing that while it was in range. Could and did or two. All right.
Oh, that's all. No big deal. Now, don't forget the administration wanted everyone to think they were wise. They were so pragmatic and prudent to blow the balloon up over the Atlantic.
We wanted to wait until it was over water so that we could mitigate any potential civilian harm or property damage.
Right. Fox doesn't give a shit about this. Literally flyover country.
Well, my goodness, how the Chinese must be pinching themselves right now.
Was that what pinching means? I wasn't sure.
And now this?
Damage the United States are finding that it's not.
Wow, they're cutting these things so tight. She's overlapping with
Not that hard to get this information, leak it, and put our national security officials in a really difficult position. This is embarrassing. It's bad.
The Biden people know they're in trouble here.
And by the way, isn't the pardon me for if I may, ma'am, isn't the intel community, like the CIA and the DNI and all these folks, aren't they supposedly the ones behind installing Biden? Aren't they the ones pushing the Ukraine war and trying to manipulate Russia and blah, 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 forcing, in many ways, Russia to attack Ukraine? They didn't want to do it, felt they needed to, you know. If the intel community is behind all this, then the sloppy shit that happens when this stuff gets out, it's got to be part of the plan, right? I mean, you're hardly a nefarious world-controlling organization if everything isn't part of the strategy, right? So are they on Team Biden, or are they fucking with him? Or are they just fucking with America and Biden's an innocent victim?
So look for them to focus maybe on the biography of the leaker. He likes guns. He's anti-big government.
He's racist. He's anti-Semitic.
He was a young, charismatic man who loved nature, God, who loved shooting guns and racing cars.
A young
and racing cars.
gun enthusiast, that's how he's described.
Worked on a military base and is a, quote, young, charismatic gun enthusiast.
Yeah, they're quoting that person. Also, maybe, just maybe, this might be the reason why when they showed up to arrest him, they brought an armored vehicle and the cops were wearing a lot of body armor. Maybe, dumb fuck. Maybe, just maybe. Although, I guess, you know, Laura Ingraham won't be happy unless one of these assholes takes out a cop in the process and they have another Ruby Ridge to sell.
He had a very dark view of the intelligence community, very suspicious of government overreach.
Well, this is perfect in a way for the Biden administration because...
It is. Well, then you're right. The CIA probably set this guy up, and he's probably... I'm going with MKL.
Just as with their January 6th narrative, their goal is to brand conservatism.
Oh, by the way, there's a big move to make him just another Jan 6er. That's why Marge Green is in on him. He's like a spin-off of January 6th.
And Trump supporters as not just toxic, but as traitors.
Well, the ones that attacked the Capitol and brought in a Confederate flag, yeah. And then also the ones that share classified documents, yeah. I mean, the dumbasses in the boat parade, I don't know. I kind of don't give a shit.
Now, once again, just as with the faux insurrection, the White House and
the faux insurrection. It wasn't a faux insurrection. It's pronounced failed.
And the FBI are just trying to score political points and distract us from reality.
Oh, good. Thank you. All right. Yes. Because that was all a deep fake. That video of him, the guy in the red shorts doesn't even exist. That's all Unreal Engine.
Obviously, to the extent that Mr. Teixeira broke the law, he should be punished
Yeah, but he didn't to the extent that did it? What extent?
completely. But this significant breach pulled the curtain back on the amateur hour that is Biden's foreign policy shop, and along with that, his national.
What are you talking about? This is within the military. This isn't even a question of like, this kid didn't he wasn't an IT professional hired at a CIA fucking safe house in Massachusetts. He was working on a military base. The military base had access to some of this stuff. Whether or not they should is a structural issue within the Pentagon. And it's not, by the way, it is, for the record, not a new policy by the Biden administration. The Biden administration did not roll in and say, you know what? Every National Guard post in the United States gets top secret clearance going forward. Just to everybody.
National security apparatus. Now, remember what the leaked documents told us about Ukraine, far different from the rosy analysis that we got just a few months ago. And what did we learn about China's role? Again, not what we were told by the White House or the Pentagon.
Russia's, and also, these are Russian assertions, but
We haven't seen any confirmation or indication that the Chinese have provided lethal weapons, lethal capabilities to the Russian Ministry of Defense.
Right, but the Russians say they have, but we haven't seen that actually be true. This is not a contradiction.
Throughout this conflict.
Did he know that was false when he was saying it?
Do you know this is false when you're saying it?
Well, the truth.
Stupid. Let me tell you something. What Russia says about the arms they may or may not be receiving from China, if they are at all, if they're getting lethal support or not, whatever Russia says about it, the Pentagon can go, they say this, but we haven't seen it. That was also part of that same briefing. They say China has China and Russia have this kind of a relationship, but we haven't seen any of the shit show up. They send them hunting rifles, which are basically the AR-15s effectively, and they try to mod them, but they're not. The AK-47s that they use on the battlefield are the primary ones, which means that the hunting rifles, the AR-15 style guns that China is allegedly sending to Russia are not being used on the battlefield in Ukraine. They're being used to police Russian citizens. Which might be why Laura Ingraham supports their relationship as much as she does.
We're not hearing the truth. Maybe the 21-year-old's view of the intel community isn't far off.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. It's where a guy hates women because they sleep with him sometimes, and he's like, any woman who would sleep with me is a complete scumbag because I'm an asshole. This is the same thing. Like, apparently, his low opinion of the intel community is because he knows he's not trustworthy, and they trusted him. Now, the reason they did is because he took an oath, and violating that oath means going to jail for a long fucking time. And it isn't really about the trust that they put into him, but his lack of awareness that shit has consequences.
The American public has every right to know the truth about what they're getting for their $200 billion and counting commitment to Ukraine.
I love how it's 200 already. It was 112, and then it's just jacked up over time. And by the way, the Lend-Lease stuff doesn't count. I'm just saying that even if you want to stack on top of it. Now, that said, hold on. Leaked documents show Russia. Whoops. Yeah, this is what. Hold on, if I may. This is the part that's the most upsetting for the Laura Ingrahams of the world. This part right here. Leaked documents show Russian special forces have been gutted in the Ukraine war. U.S. documents included in a leak of sensitive material online shows that the war in Ukraine has decimated Russia's elite special forces, according to a new report. The Washington Post, citing U.S. assessments it obtained that were initially leaked online through the platform Discord, reported that American officials believe it will take Moscow years to replenish the clandestine special forces ranks. These are the people, by the way, who were sneaking around in not only they're on the battlefield ones, but the people who've been threaded throughout the Ukrainian government and were effectively spying in the military there. In making the assessment of Russia's military status, U.S. officials pointed to Russian commanders relying too heavily on specialized units, according to the Post. The Spetsnaz forces are typically assigned to specialized high-risk missions, but when the Ukraine war began, Moscow senior commanders ordered them into direct combat. They took James Bond and they handed him a M16 and said, fuck off. According to the leaked documents reported by the Post, the classified information did not specify how many of the elite troops were suspected to have been killed or wounded, though one Spetsnaz unit was said to have lost nearly the entire brigade, with only 125 personnel active out of 900 deployed. The leak of sensitive and classified documents is roiled U.S. governments, blah, blah, blah. Jack Teixeira and too much, was arrested Thursday. This is the part that they're pissed about. This is the part that's upsetting. And she and Ritter and all those folks are trying to ignore. Never mind the part where Russia modified some of the documents that it put out. It got some of them and re-released them with the modified numbers. And that's where everybody thinks it's a CIA leak on purpose.
If the prognosis...
In which case, by the way, all of this is horseshit. All of what she's saying is garbage. All of it is just her falling for a psyop.
Prognosis for victory is grim. We should all know it.
It ain't. Now you do. Fuck off.
If China is back-channeling lethal aid to Ukraine, we should know that.
So what? You'll hate China more? Also, what lethal aid? Again, the rifles they are sending are not ending up on the battlefield. Component parts are, but quite frankly, the Russians are taking apart every electronic device they can get just to make drones work.
This is information that Americans actually may vote on in 2024.
No, we'll all, of course, have died in World War III by that time. Hold it. Chinese, I'll show you what I mean. Components, Ukraine, blah. Okay. Yeah, here you go. This is from Reuters. This is kind of what they were talking about. And it's old. That's why the stuff that came out as part of the leak was old data. Ukraine says it is finding more Chinese components in Russian weapons because they are pilfering shit from China to keep the shit together. I can't find it. Let's hold on one second. Let me grab a better. I don't have a subscription to that. Hold on. Yeah, here's Kiev Independence version of it. Same thing. Reuters. Ukraine allegedly finding more Chinese components in Russian weapons. Ukraine has allegedly been finding an increasing number of components originating from China and Russian weapons recovered on the battlefield. They're also stealing washing machines to work on drones because they can use the chips. They can repurpose the chips in them, and those are made in China because they're cheap and easy to make and whatever. Citing a senior advisor to President Vladimir Zelensky's office, Reuters wrote that there's been a noticeable shift away from Russia's use of Western-made electronics to Chinese-made ones. Good luck in your senior year. Vladislav Vlasyuk, who advised the president's chief of staff on sanctions policy, revealed that Ukraine has successfully identified certain Chinese manufacturers and suppliers in Russian weapons. Ukraine has apparently passed this information on to its Western allies. Reuters added that, and again, this is of the same ilk of material in the leaked documents, and this is just Reuters asking fucking questions. The honest to God, the stuff that's in the leaks looks like the same churned out horseshit, like mid-level analyst garbage we see all the time.
Like that, despite billions in aid to Egypt over the years, they were planning to secretly arm Russia with rockets.
And then they didn't?
Like the information that while Biden is placating China, they've tested and deployed...
Oh, we're placating China by promising to defend Taiwan?
Deployed a new longer-range hypersonic missile that's probably...
How many times have we heard this fucking story? I'm not kidding. This is like, hold on. I want to see how far back I can go. Chinese supersonic the Hedgehog weapon. Missile evade 2021. Let's see. Most shocking intel leak. Yeah. Military leader says China's hypersonic missile test went around the world. U.S. top generals. China's test of a hypersonic missile over the summer went around the world. The second most senior U.S. general said in an interview Tuesday, shedding details on the test and warning that China might one day be able to launch a surprise nuclear attack on the United States. Everybody can launch a surprise one, but it's not going to, whatever. When asked if the missile hit the target, he said close enough. It's horseshoes, hand grenades, and nukes, I guess, is the thing. Why are they building all this capability? He said they look like a first-use weapon. That's what these weapons look like to me. Yeah, of course, that's what they're for. It's the same fucking story from 2 years ago.
Able to evade U.S. defenses.
Yes, all hypersonic missiles are able to, quote, evade U.S. defenses currently on, I guess, during the downward arc of what they're doing, of their cycle.
But perhaps even more important than all of this,
is just blaming.
This intelligence breach shows us how vulnerable we become.
We've been under, yes, because Biden, right now the leaks happen under the Pentagon. Before, all we had to do was worry about what Trump snuck away with.
If a 21-year-old with no special training...
No special training. I guess he means in spy work? No, he didn't need special training. The documents were right there. You don't need special training to exploit someone's lazy misuse of classified documents. It's his superior that's getting called on the carpet right now.
Could do this much damage?
Yeah, all this damage. Oh, it's damaging. It's so damaging. The Chinese now know we know. And?
Go unnoticed for this long? Lord only knows what secrets of ours the Chinese have.
Well, I mean, there've been a couple of them at Mar-a-Lago recently.
As the Associated Press put it, the suspects arrested.
By the way, did you love how they love the mainstream media when it serves their purposes? It's adorable.
Is bound to raise questions about how the highest profile intel leak in years, one that continues to unfold with almost daily revelations of highly classified documents, could have been caused by such a young, low-ranking service member.
Well, I'm going to guess it's because he didn't cause it. He exploited it. It was caused by one of his superiors not following protocol.
Now, also worth noting is that in some circles, Mr. Teixeira would be lauded as a whistleblower.
No.
Well, he revealed vital info that was hidden from the public, which could have huge political implications.
Yeah, but that's not whistleblowing. Whistleblowing would be showing corruption or something negative that we're doing instead of the functional work of the intel community for the safety of us and our allies. That's not whistleblowing. That's just spying. It's just old-fashioned bullshit spying.
And we certainly know that Democrats in the press, they love to celebrate certain types of whistleblowers.
What I would like to see more of these people do is what Vindman had the courage to do.
All right, we saw this on the morning show where they were, they're angry because Vindman, gets lauded as a whistleblower for calling out the fact that Trump was trying to manipulate the Ukrainian government, and they want to turn this into we like Vindman and he's evil. He went after Trump, but this guy is a patriot.
Colonel Vindman showing courage, the courage to stand up to the most powerful person in the world.
Anonymous did the right thing by at least telling us that people are keeping a keen eye on the aberrant behavior of the president.
I think Anonymous is a hero.
Also, Anonymous is a group of people, but okay, whatever. I mean, this is all cut together to look like, oh, they like Anonymous and they like Vindman, but somehow this guy's a bad guy? Yeah, because in both of those cases, Vindman and Anonymous were like, this is wrong, and it's being done. Not the wrong part of the actual military sin that is exposed in all of this shit that's going on in the leak is the fact that the leak could happen. You're not a whistleblower if you any more than like a bank robber is just trying to show the people how unsafe their money is in a bank.
Of course, liberals have a double standard here. That's hardly news at this point.
Oh, yeah? I'm sorry. Is he a hero? Explain how he is.
But let's not get distracted.
No, let's not get distracted with the distraction she just posted. Why would we do that?
Our focus should be, what do these leaks mean for our long-term survival as a nation?
Yes, absolutely. And why are you wearing a cocktail dress?
Are we really even a superpower if some of our most sensitive military secrets can be posted on
Well, fifth most sensitive and old, but whatever.
a public server for weeks, months, without officials even knowing?
Well, our enemies didn't know it either.
And are we really even a superpower if our own
Probably. I don't know why.
Secretary of Defense sounds this out to lunch when the breach happened?
I don't know if there are other documents that have been online before. They were somewhere in the web, and where exactly and who had access at that point, we don't know.
Right, because at that point they didn't. Yeah, that's, the biggest problem for Laura is why won't our politicians and our military brass especially lie to us a little better? Remember back in the old, let's all go back to the time of yellow cake. That's when Laura was happiest, when somebody could just come out and just make up a bullshit story and just, if they didn't know, you just pretend to know. You know what I mean? Those were the good old days.
They were in the web.
In the web.
Well, no one should be surprised if the Biden team tries to gloss over this entire sad saga by arguing that this is just one bad guy who was maybe radicalized in an all-male right-wing chat room.
Uh-huh.
But given how the Biden administration
I would go all boy, but whatever.
Has weaponized the intel agencies.
Oh, I see. Well, they did a terrible job of it, apparently.
Misrepresented key national security questions and left us vulnerable to spies and to hackers. Why should Americans have faith in anything they do or say going forward?
Well, I'm going to go with that the assumption is if this capability existed and it wasn't a change in policy, that it existed before Biden was in office, and that this dude was in Trump world, thought he would be sort of a hero amongst people if he shared this kind of shit because he was siding with Tucker Carlson, let's say, their argument on this, and he played no small role in driving this to actually happen. Or it's yet another nothing burger that in 6 months we'll be talking about, like the balloon or the Afghanistan exit, as if they just happened 10 minutes ago and no change in the story occurred over time. It seems like here, and I will let you guys go because we have the radio show tomorrow, and Philip Bittner will be joining us from Kiev. And I think he's in Kiev. I think he's back, but he might not be. He might still be down in an a semi-undisclosed location. By God, I look forward to the time when Philip can join us from Crimea, honest to God. And Johnny Million will be joining us for the radio show tomorrow. But when it comes to this stuff, it seems like we have a giant shit pile that we deal with all the time of dead talking points. And to them, it's like another tool in the toolbox. And it's like they have a toolbox full of turds. And at one point, these turds were frozen, and they could kind of handle them without much issue. But time has passed, and it's not a refrigerated toolbox. And they keep reaching back and grabbing a fistful of these tools and coming up with a lump of shit. And every time we come across one of these talking points, every time one of these things rolls up, and you guys have been with me, and I appreciate it, and I want to thank you for joining me. As we've gone through all this stuff, we've seen this multiple times, where this is the end of the world scenario. This is it. Nord Stream pipeline. We're at a nuclear war tomorrow. This leak is going to end everything. We're fucked. Nothing works. Everything's collapsing. And then a week later, move on. just the next thing and the next thing. And at some point, I have faith that some of these motherfuckers will eventually realize that I've been right all along about the world is going to keep on spinning, and our job as human beings is to get along a little bit better, ratchet down the vitriol, try to work together, and stop acting like the world started when we were born and it's over if we go. And just try to contribute as much as we fucking can while we're here. I have to say, I'm very seldom shocked by stuff that I watch, but I think the most shocking thing that we saw tonight, oddly enough, was Marianne Williamson on Counterpoints basically saying that millennials want to erase the last millennium because everything that happened during it was bad. And that she got this feeling from touring college campuses like Yale and Stanford. How do these folks get entrenched in this big a fucking bubble? Do you just have no friends? Is there no one you can talk to that when they push back on what you have to say, you can absorb it or listen? It's super odd. Anyways, I'm going to be germinating on that idea all fucking night. I just know it because I found it to be such a strange assertion based on fucking what? There's plenty of actual details to the leaker story that are coming out about who this guy is and why he chose to do it. But the reality is it doesn't matter. He didn't leak them to be a whistleblower. He was just a fuck around. And I got news for you too. In all practical senses, just like you can't guarantee that someone in your office won't go bipolar and lose their shit and go postal one day, statistically, it's probably not going to happen. But there's no step you can take to eliminate it as a possibility forever and ever. Same thing is true in the intel community. There'll always be the potential for spies. And now, because of technology, there's going to have to be this ratchet up and, to watch out for all they have to keep track of so many fucking sources. And there's ways to do it on bases where they limit what you can do while you're on base and stuff. And they did it. And what happened? He took paper copies, took them home, took a picture on his fucking kitchen counter. And then they caught him because of it. That's how this shit works. It did function. Responsibility is about your capability in responding to these things when they happen, not that you can guarantee that they won't in any situation. And even attacking the question of it on those grounds is a lie. It's it's a blame the victim mentality, and I'm not shocked that it comes from Laura Ingraham. But it's a little dumb across the board. And these fuckers, because of the shit that apparently has been reported about what he said on video, those videos are eventually going to make their way to the internet. And believe me, some of the right-wingers are going to be happy he said them, but they're going to be in deep shit if they mention it on Fox News. I wouldn't be shocked if Laura Ingraham saw the video, loved what he says about the anti-Semitic and racist things that he said. I'm sure she might find some of it titillating. But I guarantee if she plays him on her show and says that, she's going to get in deep shit at Fox News, not to mention the public. So she'll go back to just lying about the content of them. But the rest of us are going to see it, and the rest of these assholes who are supporting him are going to go rake stomping. And I'll be here for it. I'll cover it. I got you covered. And I want to thank you guys for coming. Don't forget to subscribe. We're closing in on 50,000. It's coming. We're almost there. And all of you are just legit watchers, and it's a beautiful thing, and I thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow. But one more thing.